On our next Texas adventure, we drove from our overnight in Van Horn, Texas to Big Bend National Park. Big Bend was established in 1944 and is our 14th largest national park. However, it is also one of the least visited of our national parks because it is so remote. Our route there went through the artsy community of Marta, Texas. Prior to reaching Marta, keep an eye out for the Prada store outlet in the middle of the desert and the gigantic murals of James Dean and Elizabeth Taylor. We entered Big Bend National Park from Highway 118 on the northwest edge of the park at Maverick Junction. We made a few stops on the way, the first being the Homer Wilson Ranch. This is an easy hike, about a half mile to the old ranch house. Our next stop was the Lower Bureau Mesa Trail. This is a beautiful area following a dry creek bed upstream into rocky formations to the source of the Bureau Mesa Pour-Off, or a waterfall. It was drone time again, and Ches got some great pics of the area as I headed towards the Pour-Off. It's an easy and short hike. I headed back and found Ches rummaging through the woods. He had lost his drone. Apparently, the drone was well positioned to take some great shots, and a gust of wind came and knocked her down. We looked and looked and looked and never found the poor drone, but her last moments were captured on video. We did perform a wake that night. Our next stop was the end of the road at Santa Elena Canyon on the Rio Grande River. The canyon was absolutely gorgeous, with the river narrowing and sheer cliff walls towering as much as a quarter of a mile above the river. The river was just knee-deep and the water amazingly clear. We took the trail to its end and treaded upstream, enjoying the views, both in the United States and in Mexico. There were quite a few people there, but it was towards the end of the day and many were heading out. We found some great spots for photos and pure relaxation. Unfortunately, this would have been a great spot for some drone shots. As the day wound down, we headed to our accommodations in Terlingua. We stayed at Big Bend Casitas, which were tremendous accommodations, not too far from the town of Terlingua. Terlingua has several great restaurant options. Our first day at Big Bend was fantastic. On our second day at Big Bend National Park, we drove further into the park towards the Chisos Basin area. Up the road just past Panther Pass, we stopped to hike the Lost Mine Trail. The hike is about 5 miles round trip up a well-maintained trail with 1,077 feet of elevation gain to the high spot at about 6,800 feet elevation. The views are amazing as you hike up the ridge. To the west are the rugged spires of Casa Grande Peak, and to the south are the mountains of Chisos Basin and eventually the South Rim. Wildflowers were blooming and the birds were plentiful. We spent some time on the top enjoying fabulous views. The next stop was Chisos Basin Park area where we hiked the Window Trail. This hike is about a 6-mile round trip hike, but it starts by descending down a gradual trail following a creek bed. We started the hike at about 1 p.m. and it was hot to begin with. As we descended, the temperature rose and the air was still in the canyon. There are shade trees on occasion, but the trail is mostly exposed to the sun. We did have plenty of water and sunscreen, which was absolutely necessary. The trail continues downward, and the creek forms a canyon wall that exits through a window into thin air. The wind blows strongly through the window, and again, if you're afraid of heights, this may be a challenge. Also, the rocks around the window are smooth from the runoff and appear very slippery if wet. There are some great photo ops here. The sun was hot and the wind's now calm. We recommend doing this hike in the morning.